The Dodge CEO admits that the Charger EV criticism stings and defends the launch strategy. It's funny, we got beat up for years on the old cars. The Dodge CEO, Matt McClure, told us. He says that now no one wants to be positive. It's not that no one wants to be positive, it's just that the execution of the car is not that great. If you've been watching my channel for the last couple of years, you know I love a good deal. Whether it's saving $1,000 on Ram TRXs or Hellcats or helping you guys save money on your Demon 170s from all these dealer shenanigans, I love good deals. And there's no better deal that I can figure out online than with my buddies at JustButtOns and DragRacingWheels.com, where you can use my promo code BUTTER at checkout to save up to an additional 15% off on your next order. So check out my friends at JustButtOns and DragRacingWheels.com, where some of the best prices online just got a little bit better. With Dodge stuffing electric motors inside the Charger, long known for burnouts and big displacement V8s, which the new Charger cannot do a burnout. Like I said in other videos, that is not a muscle car if it can't do a burnout. But the car weighs too much weight and it has not powerful enough electric motors to do a simple burnout in an $80,000 version. So Dodge are gonna tell me you're gonna have to spend maybe $100,000 when the Banshee comes out to enable to do a burnout, because there was another article that came out that said that line lock to do the burnout may be delayed for SRT models. The Charger EV cannot do a burnout. Dodge says it is fixing that. The new version of line lock launches next year alongside the SRT model. So however much money this SRT model is going to be, whether it be in a $90,000 range base or $100,000 plus, because that was where the actual Plaid was before Elon Musk dropped the price, you're going to tell me, Dodge, that someone's going to spend almost $100,000 for a car to be able to do a burnout. I mean, we can do burnouts right now in $30,000 Chargers or $30,000 Challengers. You can do burnouts in RTs, and a Scat Pack now, a Scat Pack can't do a burnout. Like, I mean, I'm just saying, you know, I'm not trying to be negative here, but I mean, that's just simple muscle car 101 type stuff here. I mean, like, that's crazy. Like, you're trying to tell me that now in this new era of muscle cars, EV muscle, it takes almost $100,000 to do a simple burnout. That's crazy. That's gonna be wild. But let me go back to this article. Let's see. That said, the brand is enduring a heck of a lot of its with the electronic Charger Daytona, especially from fans of its more traditional offerings who haven't exactly welcomed the newfangled, unorthodox muscle car with open arms. And I tried the Charger Daytona, and I almost wish I never drove it, because it's clear to me that car was rushed. And it just, I think it's about 70% there. I think software is a very big concern and hardware is too. But I think it's about 70%. I think it needs like another, I think version 2 of this car is gonna be a lot better than version 1, if I had to be honest about it. And how does that make Dodge feel? Let's see, it stings, but you understand why it stings. Dodge CEO Matt McClure told The Drive during a roundtable interview. And Matt McClure or McAleer, I heard Racer X call him by that name. I'm pretty cool with Matt, because long story short, last year with the whole story with the Soldier and the Demon 170, when it was Tim Kuniskis as CEO, Matt worked underneath Tim Kuniskis, and I was talking to Matt more than I was talking to Tim. So I have a pretty good relationship with both Tim and Matt. Ever since Matt's become the CEO, I go to him in the background to help fix issues that people have between, you know, them and the dealers, or like them and Dodge, right? So, and as I said in other videos, I don't necessarily make videos on every single time I help somebody out, but I do talk to Matt and Tim. So I got a pretty good relationship with both those guys. I wish they never posted this article talking about Matt, because you're gonna see later on in the article, it kind of makes him seem very beta about this car launch. I'm just being honest here. I still hold Matt to a high level of respect, because it wasn't for you guys and Matt and Tim, I would never got my Demon 170. Now this was where this article starts to get very, very bad. On paper, gearheads should love the Charger Daytona. Visually, the two-door is a total throwback and the more faithful to the original Charger design than the V8 powered last gen model. On top of that, its specs embarrass most Hemis. And this is what I'm going like, it does not embarrass most Hemis. I'm not even sure it can even beat a regular 392 Scat Pack from the 2023 and lower cars, because I've driven one and its 0 to 60 time is not impressive. I've gotten a person who I can't say exactly who it is because he told me not to identify him. He gave me a dragging time, and that dragging time for that car was 3.93 seconds. Like, that is embarrassing. That car on paper was 3.3 seconds, and it's obvious how they got that time was on a prepped drag strip. But the car weighs 5,800 pounds. It weighs as much as the Kia EV9, and that's a SUV. It weighs as much as a Kia SUV. The wheelbase on a Charger Daytona, you see right here, is 121 inches. What current SUV from Jeep do you think this car is about the same size of? I'll give you a second to think about that. Now, if you thought Grand Cherokee, you would be wrong, because the Grand Cherokee is actually shorter than the Charger Daytona in wheelbase size. Let me show you. The Grand Cherokee L, the extended Grand Cherokee, that's literally the size of this car. The Charger Daytona is literally 0.7 inches shorter than a Grand Cherokee long wheelbase. That's how crazy this car is in size. This car is very, very big. It's very big and weighs a lot of weight. Those two things aren't very good for 0 to 60 times. Based on specs from EV Day, they were supposed to have a 442 horsepower EV motor. So technically, if they had a rear-wheel drive only Charger Daytona Scat Pack or all-wheel drive, one motor in the back, one motor in front, they should have had over 880 horsepower. Based on me having conversations with people, they basically put a weaker motor in the car. So that's why the Charger Daytona only does 670 horsepower compared to 880. And because it has the weaker motors, it can't do a burnout. Because Matt McClure, he says in a podcast with Motor Trend on the Inevitable podcast with Johnny Lieberman, the reason why the car cannot do a burnout is because the car weighs too much and electric motors don't have enough power to move the car with one motor in the back. That's why this car is so slow. Okay, if we sent you an invitation that basically said, we want you to come drive the all new top secret replacement for the Challenger. It's standard all-wheel drive, 670 horsepower, 0 to 60 to 3.3 seconds. That's a lie. Quarter mile, 11.5 seconds, probably only on a drag strip. State-of-art technology with Glitchy. Gyro-focused cockpit, I'll give them that. Just as loud from a decibel level as the outgoing Hellcat, seems very suspect. 132% more cargo capacity, that's always nice. More rear leg room than the outgoing 4-door Charger. They're going like, why would I want that much leg room in a 2-door car? I didn't buy that for having passengers, but that's me nitpicking. Everyone would say, sign me up, let's go, Matt McClure told us. You might not even ask what's under the hood. You would just assume that this is an awesome car. It looks like a 68, the most iconic muscle car in history. And that's why I'm going like, no, I wouldn't just say sign me up. I would definitely ask, what is the engine? Because if it's 670 horsepower with a Hurricane in there, I don't want it. I don't want a vacuum cleaner sounding car. If I wanted a vacuum cleaning sounding car, then I would go buy a BMW. That's not what I buy Dodge for. I buy Dodge because I like V8s. But of course, that is not how the discourse has gone. Instead, people have criticized the car's weight, exactly because it weighs almost 6,000 pounds, the fake engine noise, which it gets annoying that you can't turn that Frost-on chamber exhaust off after a while. It's basically computer-ish sounding drone music pumped in your ears. And I know for a fact that that sound is pumped in that cabin. There's no way that sound sounds that clear inside of the cabin. And I wish they would do like a software update to where, let's just say in the performance pages or the SRT modes, right? You can go in there and you reprogram, like, let's say the right paddle switch, to where the right paddle switch now, you can push one button to turn it off, push another button to turn it on. Why do you need two paddles to do the brake regen? Like, you can have the left paddle, you push it one time, that's regen 1. Push it the second time, that's regen 2. Push it the third time, that's regen 3. Then you go back, push it again, it goes back to 1. And then the right paddle, oh, you push it on, the Frost-on chamber exhaust is on. You push it off, and the Frost-on chamber exhaust is off. Like, there's some critiques that I wish that, you know, they actually go to people who don't necessarily like the concept of an EV. Go to them to get feedback from them. That's a reason why you should get feedback from people who don't necessarily like everything that you do, that holds your pom-poms, because people who don't necessarily like it is going to give you feedback that's going to help you reach a market of people who don't like the car. So I don't hate the car. I'm just saying it's 70% there. They need a lot of software changes in order to make the car appeal to more people to me. And performance is going to be at least half that 30% that this car is missing in my eyes. And the lack of a V8, guys, we all know they're going to put a V8 in this car. They're going to have to, because if you've seen the other videos that TK and OC coming out with about my man Tyler, which I know him from the TRX forum, about him working on these Hurricanes, woo, by December this year, you might be hearing a lot of, let's say, not very positive things about that Hurricane Charger when it comes out. Just saying. In most cases, without having to test drive the car, as it is so new. And the funny part about that is, this article came out after all those YouTubers went and test drove the car. So they actually got flown out, got wined and dined by Dodge, test drove the car, they had it on the track, they took it out their own individual cells, they tried the RT, they tried the Scat Pack, and they still had negative opinions about the car. They need to have constructive feedback. The car, the performance is off, it weighs too much, the software is glitchy, and it can't route plan charging stations. And you cannot turn off that frost-on chamber exhaust system when you need to, because that sound gets annoying as hell in your ears. And I was in a car for literally, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. After the first 2 to 3 minutes, it was cool. 4, 5, 6 minutes, it was like, okay, I get the point. 7, 8, 9, I'm telling the salesman, like, how do I turn this damn thing off? Because I'm getting tired of hearing this daggone noise. It's like I'm hearing lobby music to like a Star Wars game, right? It's like I'm trying to play like Rogue Squadron for Star Wars, and I got this spaceship lobby noise in my ear while I'm trying to concentrate on driving. And then sometimes driving the car, the damn car, the actual frontal chamber exhaust, it would skip. Like the soundtrack would skip in the car. Like I'm driving it, and they said no, it'll cut off for a second, turn back on. I drive for a second, it turned off and come back on. I'm going like, did y'all hear that? You're like, yeah, it just stopped. Like even the salesman noticed that it stopped like that. Obviously, there's some glitches with that car. I'm like, what the f? So, like I said, I'm gonna leave it right there, because there's some frustrating things about the car for sure. And for Dodge to be crying about this, you guys released this. I'm just saying. So yeah, it's frustrating, but the problems becomes, based on who we're hearing from, it is so easy to be negative today. That's easy. No one wants to be positive. And again, I'll say, it's a lot easier to be negative because we all know you guys, Dodge, was forced to make this car. That you guys was forced to get rid of the V8 engine. So we know for a fact, because y'all boss told y'all couldn't do it, y'all was forced to make this monstrosity. And then me digging through his CEO pay through the SEC filings, that he was incentivized to push these EVs out before December 31st of 2025, because he had a $25 million bonus tied to these cars being in the American market. I know that for a fact. And I'm going to do a video about that, because if you're wondering why Stellantis went EV, like all EV Ford first and then gasoline second, Carlos Tavares had a $25 million separate nest egg, and he had a set of performance metrics he had to meet before December 31st of 2025. He had to meet these metrics. If he did not meet this metric, he went out and got this extra, and then this was an extra $25 million, because he was already getting paid crazy amount of money for his other bonuses he was making, but he had a second bonus he would have got. If everything would have went as planned for Carlos Tavares, he would have got paid probably $20, $30 million off his other bonus pay, and then another $25 million on top of that. This dude probably could have made an extra $50 million over his bonus, over his base pay, if he was able to get this stuff working at the right time. Everything would have been better if it wasn't for the whole Dare 430 nonsense. Because all this crap is tied to Carlos Tavares. Every single person who was involved in his compensation pay, including John Elkin, he's responsible too for this nonsense. But everyone want to gloss over that, because now he's like, oh, well, let's bring the V8s back to save the market. It should have been like that in the first place. But every single person that was involved in this nonsense, they did it for to pay this one dude an extra $25 million. And that's why every one of these vehicle launches sucked. None of these vehicles launched on time. Would you in a time period where you're trying to bring out 48 EVs, would you fire 20% of your workforce and replace them with engineers from another country that don't even have these type of vehicles? This is not necessarily a negative against Dodge and like Matt McClure or Tim Knissis. This is just show you guys that they would literally fire 20% of the older workforce who works on these vehicles and go hire low-cost engineers from a country that don't even have these type of vehicles and have them work on this stuff. And you're wondering why all these launches are failing. The Ram Rail was supposed to come out last fall. That's got pushed out. No one knows when the damn thing will come out. The Charger Daytona was supposed to come out last summer. Now just now coming out, and now we see all the software issues with it. What if instead of launching the EV first or even at the same time, it started with a Hurricane Inline 6 Charger as a standalone initial offering? While dropping from a V8 to Inline 6 might have been odd for some folks, the power, performance, and authentic exhaust note might have been enough to sway enough of them. And I'm going to say this, Ram is a pretty good example of how this is not going to work. Ram lost 20% of its market share, switching from the 5.7 Hemi down to an Inline 6 Hurricane. High output and standard output. So we have 1 year of data that people rejected the Hurricanes. This right here is a clear example of how that statement right there in this article does not fly. Now you wonder why, once Causaveras got kicked out the door, now that, oh yeah, you know what, get rid of the Hemi V8. That was un-American, right? Now we won't rule out the V8. If the Hurricane was so good and it swayed enough people, there wouldn't be a Hemi V8 being teased to come back. That's already being teased to come back to America. I'm just saying, we already have data. Despite the criticism, CEO says he's not overly concerned. He learned through talking to dealers that the Daytona is bringing in new customers who aren't buying these vehicles, because I think I talked to TK the other day. He said they haven't even sold 150 of these things yet. 150 total sales. That's crazy. Existing EV owners who want something different, something sportier, and something exciting. Yeah, but I guarantee you, if they went from their Tesla to this, they're going back to their Tesla. Because their Tesla's faster than this. They've had their stereotypical all-electric experience and they're ready for new thrills. And for some traditional enthusiasts unwilling to leave their internal combustion behind, there's still the straight six version. Matt McClure can admit that the backlash stings. Dodge isn't reversing course. Hold on. I'd rather be part of the conversation than not being part of the conversation, even if it's bad. It's better to be a part of it. I don't think there's that much hope for this car. If I had to put my money on it, if I had to bet, the six-pack cars aren't going to sell that well. I just don't think so. Because they're going to be too expensive. Going to be too expensive. And then once you have these cars being mixed in with the current cars, they're going to sound like crap compared to the current cars. I'm just saying, I don't think these cars are going to sell well. The one thing that's going to kill these cars is the price. Because I guarantee you, all those 550 horsepower Chargers are going to cost at least 65 grand. The cheapest Hurricane high output 500 horsepower vehicle that you can get in Ram is a $69,000 Ram RHO. That's the cheapest one you can get an actual RHO in. The cheapest high output Hurricane in Ram is $69,000 with the RHO. The cheapest Ram 1500 pickup truck, and if you throw in a four-wheel drive system because put all-wheel drive, that's 50 grand. A Bighorn is 50 grand. That's the cheapest vehicle you can get with a standard output Hurricane. That's why I'm thinking even when these Hurricanes come out, the price is going to kill them because these prices are not going to be that much off from what the actual Dodge cars are going to be. And if they didn't think that people was buying these Ram pickup trucks just because they cost too much and they don't have Hemis in them, then they're not really going to buy this car like that. But yeah, but let me know what you guys think about this. If you want to let me know in the comment section what you guys think about this right here, that Dodge is actually crying about people having negative thoughts about the Charger Daytona. And it's justified in my opinion. Like, we're not being negative because we don't like EVs. We're being negative because the execution was not that good. And honestly, in my eyes, this car is like 70% there. How do you have an $80,000 car that can't do a burnout?